you know anything about Apex Legends, then you know that Aceu is one of the most significant names in the history of that game. He was once considered to be the greatest Apex Legends player in terms of movement and even aim, and for a while, he was a part of the top 5 biggest streamers that played the game, but he then grew to become a streamer that broke through the barrier of being an exclusive Apex Legends streamer. His fans loved him for his vibe, and of course his skill was the selling point on why people wanted to watch him, but throughout his extremely successful career as a streamer and gamer, there were certain points in his career where he made significant changes in his streaming content, which resulted in either massive success or of course resulted in Aceu's viewership to decline significantly. And after researching the full story of Aceu, I came to the conclusion that if we answered these 3 questions about the history of Aceu, we would understand why Aceu was able to blow up, but also why Aceu's average viewers is at an all-time low since 2019. 1. What is the foundation of Aceu's career? 2. Why did Aceu stop taking Battle Royale seriously? And 3. Why is Aceu's average views at an all-time low since September of 2019? And to answer question number 1, we need to jump back to 2016, the beginning of Aceu's career in gaming. In the beginning, Aceu started off playing a bunch of different games, such as Quake, League of Legends, and of course CSGO, but for the sake of this video, we would skip the irrelevant parts of his beginning and jump to his CSGO days, because that is where Aceu's career in gaming had its official start. When Aceu started playing CSGO, right off the bat, he fell in love with the game. The game's movement mechanics and emphasis on aim skill was perfect for Aceu, so as he grinded the game, it did not take long for Aceu to reach the highest rank of the game, Global Elite, but at a certain point in Aceu's CSGO grind, he realized that he did not want to take the traditional path in life, since he felt that it did not suit him. He didn't want to go to college, get a job, and work until the day he dies. He wanted to do the one thing he had passion for in life, play video games. So it was at this point where he decided to lock in and start grinding competitive CSGO in order to make a career for himself in esports. He would create his ESA account to try and get into the CSGO pro scene, and after some time, he would get picked up by an organization called Rise Nation, and under that team, he would compete in official CSGO tournaments. Of course, not at the highest level, but rather the entry-level tournaments, and he would work his way up with Rise Nation to compete in bigger and bigger tournaments, and eventually E United would buy out Rise Nation's roster, so now Aceu was representing E United. But I'm not going to sit here and give you guys the full rundown of Aceu's CSGO competitive career, because once E United started to compete in high-level ESL tournaments, Aceu would end up getting benched, which meant that he would no longer be a part of the main starting roster for E United, so that put Aceu in a really tough position, because if you remember what I said earlier, Aceu started competing in esports because he wanted to build a career in that field. He put all of his eggs in one really risky basket in an attempt to find a way out of the traditional 9-to-5 hustle, but to his dismay, it didn't work out. So now that he had a bunch of free time with a low income problem, he decided to give himself one last final stretch in making a career out of gaming by giving himself a 2-month ultimatum in becoming a full-time streamer. Aceu gave himself a goal of getting 400 subs within 2 months of streaming, or else he would go and find a job and pursue another path in life. And I can't emphasize this enough, Aceu had to be the luckiest person ever, because exactly on the start of his 2nd month for that ultimatum, Apex Legends had come out, and at first, he didn't make a full switch to that game right off the bat. He was still hesitant in Apex Legends' future, and he of course wanted to place himself in a position which would ensure his success in streaming. But when Aceu's close friend Dizzy would blow up on Apex Legends, Dizzy's success had convinced Aceu to start playing that game, and it took about a week for Aceu to make the full switch from CSGO to Apex Legends. But when he did, he saw his average viewers decline significantly for that entire month, except for maybe one day where Dizzy would give him a raid. But it wasn't all that bad, because even though during this month Aceu's viewership had tanked, and from the ultimatum's perspective he had failed, in reality he was honing his skills on Apex Legends, which would prepare him for the next month of his Apex Legends career, March of 2019, the month where Dizzy and King Richard would get Aceu signed to NRG Esports competitive Apex Legends roster, and under NRG Esports and under his close friend Dizzy's wing, Aceu's career in the streaming world would finally begin to take off. At first, Aceu would get into competitive Apex Legends back when most of the tournaments were kill grind tournaments, and if you were active in the scene at that time, you would know that Energy was dominating the scene. They were winning all of the time with practically little competition, but as competitive Apex Legends was starting to form into what it was meant to be, Aceu started to realize that he did not want to be a part of it.
I started playing Apex because I got benched from my CS team and I didn't have any revenue income. Like there's no money coming in and I had bills to pay. So I was playing Apex in my spare time because like I saw Dizzy, like Dizzy's my boy, right? And he inspired me to start playing Apex because he was grinding, he was killing it, and it looked super fun, right? So I picked up Apex too. Everything started working out, and at the beginning it was just kill races, right? It wasn't like actual competitive, and I've never played a battle royale competitively, so I didn't know what I was getting myself into, right? So I was quick to accept the NRG invitation to join the Apex team because I needed the money and I get to play Dizzy. So boom, that's out of the way. Then competitive started forming and I started seeing what a competitive battle royale is, and that completely pushed me away. It definitely made me dislike the game and what I was doing at the time in it. So I was mentally checked out for a long time.
He got into competitive Apex Legends because he had a golden opportunity to make a career in esports and streaming once again. It was solely a decision that was made due to Aceu's struggle in building a career in gaming. The guy desperately needed a bigger cash flow, and since he signed a contract which stated that he must compete competitively on Apex Legends under NRG, he had no choice but to grind through a bunch of tournaments that he did not want to compete in, and it was clear that both Dizzy and Aceu felt this way. So when Dizzy would quit competitive Apex Legends, seemingly out of the blue, video on why Dizzy quit Apex Legends and streaming will be in the description. Aceu now had no reason to stay in the competitive Apex Legends NRG roster, and after begging the NRG staff to allow him to focus on content, even though he was still obligated to compete in competitive Apex Legends matches, the NRG staff was helpful and they allowed him to make the switch to NRG Esports content creation roster.
Because I couldn't just quit the competitive team. Because I needed the spot in the org because I needed to make money and I needed to get myself out there, and plus the energy was great, so I wanted to stick around. But yeah, I didn't like playing competitive, so I was trying to get out as long as I could, and then I was just stuck playing Apex and I was stuck playing those tournaments online. But eventually I was freed. They let me out, and so shout out Energy for really, letting me do what I want to do and not just completely dropping me or like forcing me to play competitive.
And Aceu's exit from the competitive Apex Legends roster proved to be the right decision for him in his career, since it was clear that people mainly enjoyed watching Aceu for his movement skills and of course his vibe. Competitive Apex Legends took that away from him since it was really passive at the time. So now with Dizzy's viewership taking the fall, there was a huge gap in the streaming aspect of Apex Legends that needed to be filled. And while many different names stepped up and capitalized off of it, Aceu was obviously one of the main guys that really started to grow their brands in the Apex Legends streaming scene at this point. But as Aceu's streaming career was growing significantly and the amount of people who watched him started to enjoy Aceu as an individual rather than just his skills, Aceu started to grow into a streamer that was bigger than just Apex Legends. He now wasn't just that highly skilled Apex Legends guy named Aceu, he was now Aceu the streamer. So when a new hyped game that reminded him of his good old CSGO days called Valorant came out, Aceu did not hesitate to jump onto that game, and while he did see a tiny drop in average viewers when he made that switch, he was still a really big streamer, and month after month, while proving that, just like on Apex Legends, on Valorant, he was also extremely skilled on that game. His time on Valorant proved to be beneficial for his streaming career, but when his love for Valorant started to stagnate due to the repetitiveness of that game, Aceu had started to evolve into a variety streamer that was comfortable streaming any game that piqued his curiosity. He would occasionally come back to Apex Legends whenever there was an update that seemed cool to him, but for a while, he would prioritize playing games that he enjoyed, which unfortunately for his Apex Legends fans, meant that he would barely play Apex Legends. Instead, he would play Escape from Tarkov in Valorant, but surprisingly, on May of 2021, Aceu would decide to make the switch back to Apex Legends, and from this point forward, Apex Legends would be the main game that he would stream, and while his switch back to Apex Legends was one that was filled with lots of positivity, hype, and happiness when he would encounter all of the things that he once hated about Apex Legends all over again. This would result in Aceu getting pissed on stream in a clip I'm sure many of you guys have seen if you were active on Apex back in 2021.
Was it all our reaction times? Okay, chat, you guys are actually fucking put in sub mode, please. You guys do not know anything. Jesus Christ. I've never read such a brain dead chat until I came to Apex Legends and I saw the people who watch Apex Legends. Like, Jesus Christ, I can't stand any of you guys. You guys want to know the reason I left? Because there's so many brain dead fucking idiots that play this game, you casual Normandies. Jesus Christ, I feel like I need to go find Jesus after reading the chat just to get my eyes scrubbed. I feel like I need an entire, like, I need to be rebirthed to free myself from the things that I read during an Apex stream. It blows my mind that people can put up with you guys for more than 4 hours and not lose their mind. Holy shit.
And it wasn't long for Aceu to leave Apex Legends once again. In July of 2022, Aceu being the guy he is, he decided that he did not want to lock himself on one game ever again. Instead, he would play whatever the hell he wanted to, since that proved to be beneficial for both his streaming career and his mental health. So from that point on, he would jump from Valorant back to Apex Legends, and he would even try out Overwatch 2 when it came out. But it was in November of 2022 when the downtrend of Aceu's streaming viewership started to begin, because it was in this month where he would begin to start dedicating more of his streaming time to League of Legends. And just by hovering over his Twitch analytics, from November of 2022 to July of 2023, there was a clear correlation between Aceu streaming League of Legends for longer periods of time throughout his streams, and his average viewership and his follower count decline. And it was only during months where he would go back to Apex Legends where you would see a spike in his viewership, like on February of 2023, and from August of 2023 to December of 2023, you can see that when he went back to escape from Tarkov and would mainly stream League of Legends, his average views had hit an all-time low since September of 2019. But I'm not going to sit here and say that Aceu is a dead streamer, because of course he isn't. He's maintaining over 2,000 viewers per stream while playing a game most of his viewers don't want to watch, so of course he has a fan base that is loyal to him and would never let him fall off. And judging by the months where he would switch to games such as Apex Legends, in those months, his viewership rises significantly. So whenever Aceu decides to make the switch to a game that people want to watch, I could guarantee that Aceu's viewership would begin to rise once again. But unfortunately, you can't say the same for Dizzy, because when his viewership declined, it unfortunately never went back to where it left off. I have made a video going over everything that went down in Dizzy's career, so if you want to watch that video, click the video that you see on the screen, or go over to the description and click the link that is over there.